Welcome in, everyone. Today's deep dive takes us into the fascinating world of street art, specifically the story of Blek Le Rat.
Oh yeah, he's considered like the father of stencil graffiti.
Right, the father of stencil graffiti. But I think there's a lot more to him than just that title.
Absolutely.
So we've got a whole bunch of articles and excerpts that you sent over, and we're going to really dig into those and pull out all the best
Yeah,
stuff
all the good stuff.
to paint a complete picture for you.
I love it.
So you can really understand his journey, his impact, and his influence on street art as we know it today.
Yeah, he's a really fascinating figure.
So to start off, he wasn't always Blek Le Rat, right?
Right.
He was born Xavier Prou in Paris in 1951.
Yeah, and choosing that pseudonym, it wasn't just about staying anonymous, was it? It was
No.
part of creating like an artistic persona,
Sure.
a statement in itself.
Yeah, I mean, Blek Le Rat, it's such a cool name.
It
I
is.
was reading that he got that from an Italian comic book character, Blek Le Rock.
Yeah, and that rat part, that's pretty clever. It's an anagram for art.
Oh, wow, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, and it really symbolizes, I think, his belief that art should be everywhere.
Makes sense.
Accessible to everyone, not just hidden away in some, fancy gallery
Right.
on some rich person's wall.
Yeah, absolutely. So imagine you're walking down the street in Paris in like the early 80s,
Yeah.
and you see these life-sized rats stenciled on the walls.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been mind-blowing.
It would have been like, whoa, what is this? It would have been so different from anything that people were used to seeing.
Totally. It would have been a real challenge to the way people thought about art at the time.
Yeah, and those rats weren't just random. He actually called them freedom bringers, which I think is really interesting.
Oh, wow.
They were like this metaphor for the subversive nature of his art.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk about the technique,
Yeah.
because this is really where he gets interesting. I mean, he's considered the father of stencil graffiti.
Yeah, and using stencils, it was revolutionary for street art. It allowed him to create these intricate designs really quickly
Right.
and repeatedly, which made his art much more visible. It had more impact in the urban environment.
It's kind of like, it's almost like a printing press, but on city walls.
Exactly.
You can just, boom, put it up there
Boom, boom, boom.
and then move on to the next one.
And it was so influential. I mean, think about Banksy, one of the most famous street artists today.
Yeah.
He's even cited Blek Le Rat as a major inspiration.
Well, there's that famous quote, I think, where Banksy says, every time I think I've painted something slightly original, I find out that Blek Le Rat has done it as well only 20 years earlier.
Yeah, exactly. He's like the OG.
So it wasn't just the technique, though, right? There was a message behind his work.
Always. He was all about social and political commentary.
Right. So give us some examples. What kind of things was he trying to say with his art?
Well, he created powerful images of homeless people to try and draw attention to their plight.
Yeah.
And he used his art to critique things like consumerism,
Makes sense.
war,
Uh-huh.
political corruption, all through his art.
So he wasn't afraid to tackle those tough issues
Oh, no, not at all.
head on. And there's that recurring motif I noticed of the lone individual
Yeah.
against the larger force.
It speaks to his humanism, his concern for the vulnerable, and his belief that art can spark dialogue and change.
Yeah, he really believed in the power of art to make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. It's interesting how he uses such simple imagery in his work
Yeah,
to get across really complex ideas.
right. And his pieces are so striking,
Yeah.
even though he often works in just black and white.
Yeah, it's the power of contrast.
Yeah.
You have those black figures against the city walls.
Right.
Like, they just leap out at you and they kind of force you to just focus on the essentials on the
Yeah.
message.
Yeah.
Do you remember how we were talking about photography before? It's funny because he actually did see photography as a way of capturing a moment in time,
Yeah.
revealing the truth behind the surface of things.
Yeah.
And I think he wanted his art to have that same kind of immediacy,
Right.
that same ability to cut through all the noise and make people pay attention.
Yeah. I could see that.
Right.
So it's not just about aesthetics.
Mm.
It's about capturing a feeling, an idea,
Yeah.
a moment in time.
Exactly. And I think that's why his work still resonates with people so much today,
Yeah.
It speaks to something much deeper than just like, visual appeal.
Right.
It speaks to our shared humanity,
Right.
our empathy for those who are struggling, our desire for a more just and equitable world.
Absolutely. We were talking about his homeless series earlier.
Right.
And there's one image that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
It's a stencil of this man
Uh-huh.
bundled in a blanket,
Yeah.
sleeping on the street.
I know exactly which one you're
Yeah.
talking about. There's just something so heartbreaking about it. You know, the way he's curled up,
Yeah.
almost trying to disappear.
That's the one with the shopping cart next to him.
Yes.
It's just like all of his worldly possessions are there, but he's still just completely alone
Yeah.
and vulnerable.
He talked about how he wanted to really create that sense of invisibility with that series
Uh-huh.
to highlight how society often turns a blind eye to
Right.
the plight of the homeless.
Yeah.
It's as if they become ghosts, you know,
Yeah.
just fading into the background of our everyday lives.
He really did capture that sense of invisibility.
He did.
It makes you think about all the people you pass on the street every day.
Every day.
The ones who are struggling.
Yeah.
The ones who are invisible
Yeah.
to so many of us.
And I think by making them visible, you know,
Yeah.
by bringing their stories into the public sphere, he's forcing us to confront our own complicity in their invisibility.
Right.
He's saying, look, this is happening right here.
Right in front of you.
Yeah.
Can't ignore it.
So I'm curious about his process with that series.
Yeah.
Did he actually meet the people he depicted?
He did. He would actually spend time talking to them,
Wow.
getting to know their stories before he ever even like picked up a spray can.
Wow. So it wasn't just about capturing their likeness. It was about understanding
Yeah.
their humanity,
Mm-hmm.
their struggles, their
Yeah.
resilience.
It really adds another layer of depth to the work, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Knowing that he actually connected with those individuals.
Yeah, it makes it even more powerful and poignant.
It does, and it speaks to his empathy,
Yeah.
you know, his genuine concern for the people that he was portraying.
Right.
He wasn't just using them as subjects.
Right.
For his art, he was collaborating with them in a way,
Yeah.
giving them a voice through his work.
There's another image from that series that I keep thinking about.
Yeah.
It's a stencil of a woman holding a child.
Yes.
And she just looks,
She looks so weary.
so burdened by the weight of her circumstances.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder what their future holds,
Right.
what kind of opportunities it'll have.
Yeah, it's pretty sobering.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think there's a sense of hope there, too.
Okay.
In that image, the way that she's holding the child.
Yeah.
There's just this sense of protectiveness,
Uh-huh.
love,
Yeah.
resilience. It's like she's saying,
Yeah.
you know, we're going to get through this together.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even in like the darkest of circumstances,
Yeah.
there's always hope.
There is. And that's one of the things I really admire about his work.
Yeah.
Even when he's dealing with such difficult subjects.
Right.
There's always a glimmer of hope there,
Right.
a sense of possibility.
So can we talk about those iconic rat images?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the rats.
Because he saw rats as symbols of freedom and resilience, right?
Those rats are just so playful and mischievous.
Yeah.
It's like they're thumbing their noses at the establishment.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, almost like they represent the rebellious spirit of Blek Le Rat himself.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, you know? Remember,
Right.
he was working illegally,
Yeah.
risking arrest
Right.
every time he went out to paint.
Right.
There's definitely a sense of daring and defiance in those rat images.
Yeah.
Celebration of the underdog, you know,
Oh, yeah.
of those who refuse to conform.
I remember seeing that image of the rat wearing a beret
Oh, yeah.
and holding a paintbrush.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like he's mocking the art world a little bit.
I love that one. And there's another one that I really love.
Okay.
It's a stencil of a rat pushing a baby carriage.
Uh-huh.
But instead of a baby,
Yeah.
there's a bomb in the carriage.
Oh, wow.
What do you think he was trying to say with that one?
That's a powerful image.
It is.
I don't know. It's open to interpretation, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it speaks to the idea that even the most innocent things can be corrupted by power.
That's interesting.
Or maybe it's a commentary on the way that society often prioritizes things that are ultimately destructive.
Yeah,
It definitely makes you think
it does.
about the choices we make as a society and the consequences of those choices.
It's a reminder that we need to be critical thinkers.
Yeah.
And to question the status quo.
And that's what makes his work so relevant today, right?
Yeah.
It challenges us
Mm-hmm.
to think critically about the world around us,
Yeah.
to question our assumptions,
Yeah.
and to imagine a better future.
So we've talked about the homeless series,
Right.
the rat images.
Uh-huh.
Are there any other like recurring themes in his work that you found interesting?
There are a couple that come to mind.
Yep.
One is the idea of the individual versus the system.
Yeah.
You often see this in his stencils of, like, lone figures confronting authority figures.
Right, like police officers, soldiers, politicians.
Exactly. It reminds me of David and Goliath
Yes,
a little bit.
I love
The
that.
little guy standing up to the giant.
And it really gives you the sense that
Wow.
even the smallest voice can be powerful, that
Yeah.
even one person can make a difference.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's a really inspiring message, especially in today's world,
Right.
where it often feels like the individual is powerless
Yeah.
against these large systemic forces.
It's like he's saying, don't give up.
Yeah.
Keep fighting.
Fighting.
Your voice matters.
Your voice matters.
And another theme that I noticed
Yeah.
is the idea of memory and remembrance.
Yeah.
He often stencils portraits of historical figures,
Mm-hmm.
people who fought for justice and equality. It's like a call to action.
It is a call to action.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that history isn't just something that happened in the past.
Right. It's alive and well
Yeah.
in the present,
Yeah.
and it shapes our future.
It's incredible how he was able to weave these complex ideas
I know.
into such simple yet powerful images.
I know.
It's not just art.
Uh-huh.
It's a history lesson,
It is.
a call to action,
Yeah.
a conversation starter.
And it's all done without words.
Right.
Just images strategically placed
Yeah.
in the public sphere.
That in itself is a powerful statement.
It is.
It's like he's saying art doesn't need words to speak.
Yeah.
It can communicate directly to the soul.
And it can reach people who might not otherwise be exposed to these ideas.
Right.
You know, people who might not go to art galleries
Yeah.
or read books about history
Yeah.
or philosophy.
It's art for the people by the people.
Precisely.
And
And that's what makes his work so important.
yeah.
He's not just an artist. He's a provocateur,
Uh-huh.
a visionary,
Yeah.
a revolutionary.
It's inspiring to think that one person's vision
I know.
can have such a profound impact on the world. And it really does, and his influence is still felt today.
Yeah.
In fact, I think we're seeing a resurgence of interest in street art
Uh-huh.
as a form of social commentary
Right.
and activism.
Especially in today's world,
Yeah,
where there are so many issues that need to be addressed.
exactly. People are looking for ways to express their frustrations,
Yeah.
their hopes,
Right.
their dreams, and street art offers such a powerful platform for doing that.
It's accessible.
It is.
It's immediate.
Yeah.
It's in your face. You can't ignore it.
And I think that's what Blek Le Rat understood so brilliantly.
Yeah.
He saw the power of the street, of
Mm.
the public sphere, as a space for dialogue,
Right.
for dissent, for
Yeah.
artistic expression.
And by reclaiming the streets for the people,
Yes.
he paved the way for generations of artists to come.
His legacy is immense. He
Yeah.
really changed the way that we think about art,
Right.
public space,
Uh-huh.
and the power of individual expression. And his work continues to inspire and challenge us
Yeah.
to this day.
It's incredible to think about how his journey began
I know.
with those first stencils
Yeah.
of rats on the streets of Paris.
From those humble beginnings,
Yeah.
he created a movement, a revolution in art and activism
Mm-hmm.
that continues to ripple across the globe.
It's amazing how he was able to remain anonymous
I know.
for so long
Right.
while making such a huge impact.
Yeah, he was like a shadow
Yeah.
moving through the city, leaving his mark,
Hmm.
but always remaining just out of reach.
I'm curious to know more about the man behind the mask.
Yeah.
Is there anything in these materials that sheds light on his personal life,
Let's see.
his motivations?
I think there are a few interviews
Okay.
and quotes
Yeah.
that might give us some insights.
Yeah, okay.
I think we might be able to piece together a portrait of the artist as a
Yes.
human being rather than just a legend.
It's amazing to me that we've talked this long
I know.
about Blek Le Rat, this incredible artist who's had such an influence on street art,
Right.
and yet he's managed to stay shrouded in mystery.
It's true. He's kind of like a phantom,
Yeah.
a shadow figure in the art world.
There aren't many interviews with him out there.
No, not really.
It's rare to find someone who's achieved that level of fame
Yeah.
and recognition.
Especially in today's world, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
social media and everyone's trying to be an influencer.
You'd think someone dubbed the, father of stencil graffiti
You'd think.
would be all over Instagram.
Yeah, totally. But I think that says a lot about his character.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he's not in it for the fame
Right.
or the recognition.
Yeah.
He's driven by something deeper.
So what do you think it is?
Hmm.
What are his motivations? Why did he choose to express himself through street art,
Yeah.
especially at a time when it was just considered vandalism?
Oh, there's a quote from one of the interviews we read
Oh.
where he talks about feeling like traditional art institutions.
Mhm.
Like the galleries, the
Right.
museums, they were too exclusive.
Okay, too detached from the everyday lives of people.
Right.
So he wanted to bring art to the people.
Yeah.
Break down those barriers,
Yeah.
make it accessible to everyone.
He saw the streets as a truly democratic space,
Right.
you know?
A Kansas that belonged to everyone.
And with stencils, he could create art that was both unique
Right.
and reproducible.
So he could spread his message far and wide.
Yeah,
Reach people who might never even step foot in a gallery.
it's true.
It's interesting that he chose rats
Yeah.
as one of his primary subjects.
Mm-hmm.
These creatures that are often unseen,
Right.
overlooked.
Hiding in the shadows?
It's almost like he's giving them a voice,
I think so.
making them visible.
And remember, rat is an anagram for art.
Right.
So it's like he's saying art is everywhere, even
Yeah.
in the most unexpected places.
He's kind of like a modern-day Robin Hood, isn't he?
Uh-huh. It's got
Dealing from the rich world of high art
Yeah.
and given to the poor.
He's definitely challenging that traditional hierarchy
Right.
of the art world,
Yeah.
you know, democratizing art, making it accessible.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about the social commentary in his work, the way he uses art to raise awareness of social issues.
Yeah.
But there's also this sense of humor,
Oh, totally.
a playfulness
Yeah.
in a lot of his pieces.
There is.
Like that image of the rat wearing the beret,
Oh, yeah.
holding a paintbrush.
Yeah.
It's like he's kind of winking at us, you know,
I think so.
acknowledging the absurdity of it all.
He's not taking himself too seriously,
Right.
even though he is dealing with these
Yeah.
pretty serious themes.
I wonder what he's like in person.
Hmm.
What kind of personality is
Mhm.
behind that pseudonym?
I know it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But the people who have met him describe him as
Yeah.
quiet, thoughtful,
Okay.
and incredibly passionate
Makes sense.
about his art,
He's not interested in the limelight. He just wants to create and share his work.
and let his art speak for itself.
Exactly. And his art does speak volumes.
It does.
It's a testament to his creativity,
Mhm.
his
Yeah.
courage,
Yeah.
his commitment to social justice,
Right.
and his belief in the power of art
Yes.
to make a difference in the world.
I think one of the most important things we can learn from Blek Le Rat
Yeah.
is that art doesn't have to be confined to galleries
Right.
or museums. It can exist anywhere.
Yeah.
In the streets, on the walls,
Uh-huh.
in the most unexpected places.
It can reach anyone,
Yes.
regardless of their background or their social status.
It has the power to connect us, to inspire us,
Yeah.
to challenge our perceptions, and to make us think differently about the world around us.
It's been such an amazing journey.
It has.
Exploring the life and work of Blek Le Rat.
Yeah.
He's a true pioneer, a visionary, an inspiration
He is.
to artists and activists all over the world.
His story reminds us that even the smallest voice can make a difference. And that art really has the power
Uh-huh.
to transform lives and communities.
So as you go about your day,
Yeah.
keep your eyes open.
Keep your eyes peeled.
You never know where you might find a Blek Le Rat
Right.
hidden in plain sight.
Waiting to spark your imagination
Yeah.
and challenge your assumptions.
And who knows, maybe you'll be inspired
yeah.
to create some art of your own.
Go make some art.
Share your own message with the world.
Yeah. Get out there.
The streets are waiting.
The streets are waiting.